My name is Trina Brackman, and I'm doing the skull skeletal bones. And here's my sheet. Put this down right in front of me. Okay, so I'm going to begin with the frontal bone, the parietal bones, which is on each side, the temporal bone, okay, and let's see, next is the occipital bone, which is back here, the base of the skull, the coronal suture, just right here where the frontal bone is, goes straight across there, the coronal sagittal suture, sagittal suture, right down the middle of the cranium. The squamous suture, so the squamous suture is right here. The lambdoid sutures kind of look like a Y going down the base of the skull, lambdoid sutures. Nasal bone, okay, so the nasal bone, whoops, right here, sorry, nasal bone, maxilla bone, so the maxilla, the mandible, right here, the mental foramen, which are on each side of the mandible, these little indentions, the mandibular ramus. Mandibular ramus is this area right here. You can see that. Mandibular ramus. Oops, right here. Mandibular ramus, and the mandibular notch is this portion right here. The mandibular condyle is this upper region of the mandible. The coronal process of the mandible is right beside that little area. The zygomatic bone, the sphenoid bone in the lateral view. The sphenoid bone is going to be right here, this bone, right here. The ethmoid bone. Ethmoid bone is right inside here of the optical area. The lacrimal bone is a little bit further towards the outside. The nasolacrimal bone region is this little area where the canal is, so you can kind of think of where the tear duct goes. The supraorbital foramen is this notch right here, kind of where the eyebrow is. The infraorbital foramen is right below the eye. The superior orbital fissure and inferior orbital fissure. So superior is right inside the canal, and the inferior is down below. Those are the fissures. The vomer bone. The vomer bone is that bone right there on the inside of the nasal canal. You can see that. It's inside. And then the ethmoid, or the perpendicular plate of the ethmoid bone, is right back here, the little plates back here in the nasal canal area. The middle and inferior conch. The middle and inferior concave. The concave for the middle is right back here. It's the upper portion on each side. And then there's a lower, it's hard to see, but there's a little indentation right on the inside of the nasal canal as well. So that is the inferior concave. The anterior nasal spine. Anterior nasal spine is this portion right here. We can kind of touch that portion. External auditory meatus. The external auditory meatus. Okay. And next is the okay, so the glabella. So the glabella you can see right here, and when you take off the top of the cranium, the glabella, the greater and lesser wing of the sphenoid bone. So the greater, and then closer to the frontal bone, the lesser wing of the frontal. Greater and lesser wing of the sphenoid bone. The optic canal, or the optic foramen, is right here. It's right inside here, and if you could see it, so this is the front of the skull, so it's right here, and actually if it were a larger skull you can actually stick it through to the eye canal. The foramen rotundum. The foramen rotundum, right here. It's a little difficult to see, but foramen rotundum. The foramen ovale. You can't really tell, but it's a little more oval than the other foramens. The foramen ovale. The foramen lacerum. The foramen lacerum. It's kind of difficult to see, but it is right here. And then the foramen spinosum is right here. It's a little bit further outward. Now the carotid canal. The carotid comes right through here. The jugular foramen. It's going to be closer to the back of the skull. So there's two indentions on each side for the jugular foramen. The palatine bone. I'm going to take part of his mandible off. The palatine bone is a little bit more difficult to see. Well, if I can get this going. Okay, so the palatine bone is almost where, well, it's difficult to place this, but the palatine bone you can see from inside. It's where kind of the hard palate is. I'm trying to make it easier to see. So palatine bone is right here. The incisive fossa is actually closer to the teeth area. We're still in the palate region, but it's closer. It's this little indention, this little fossa right there closer. You can see a little indention right there. Okay. The foramen or the greater palatine foramen, so closer to the tip of the palatine bone. There's two. It's hard to see, but there are two. Can't quite show it on the video, but I can see it. So there's two in there. Okay, he's just not cooperating. But again, the greater palatine foramen is located right there where the palatine bone is, the very outer region of the palatine bone. There's two little foramen in there. The foramen magnum is right here, and of course that's where the spinal cord actually comes in. It's a large foramen where the spinal cord comes through. The mastoid process. The mastoid process is the outer protuberance right here, and the styloid process is this little tiny bone on the inside that kind of protrudes out. The styloid mastoid foramen is the area. There's a little foramen right behind that area, the region of the styloid and the mastoid process. The crista galli is right in here, close to frontal area. The cribriform plate is right here. And then the silica turga is right here, and the internal auditory meatus is right here.